all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands this morning.
Of course, we are so happy to be joining you, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook this morning. Welcome to the breakfast hour. Of course, our financial advisor, as Mikey G mentioned, is going to be joining us this morning. I'm not sure what he's going to be speaking about, but we certainly.
You ask me, could you ask me? Can you ask me? I'm putting up my hand.
Okay, I'll ask you. Yes,
He's
go
going to talk
ahead.
about finance this morning.
Thank you. We would not have guessed that.
I'm just so brilliant here. I know. It's what it is, right? So it's like here's this thing I want to say. They always have these Asian jokes, right? The
Yes,
Chinaman goes, he has a baby, a young baby, and his friend, came over, and so his friend heard that he has a baby, and so he's come to see the baby, and he
yes,
says, "Friend, guess what kind of baby I have?" And the
yes,
friend say, "You have a boy." He says, "No, guess again, guess again." He says, "You have a girl." And say, "Who tell you? Who tell you?" That's the one for this morning. Who told you this morning? I want to say good morning to our financial advisor this morning. Good morning, Mr. Talbot. How are you this morning, sir?
Good morning. I am great, thank you. And how are you?
Like I said, I wake up on the right side of the bed this morning, and my thoughts were, how is it possible to be awake and asleep at the same time? That's my topic for today. This is what I'm going to be unfolding for myself today. I'm working through that today, and that's my thoughts. That's how I woke up.
How can you be awake and asleep at the same time?
Same time. It has that's what came in my mind, and I started my day with that concept, my thoughts. So I have to unpack that for the rest of the day, see where it takes me.
Well, I'll add a little touch to that.
Right,
How about being awake, meaning that you're aware of your situation,
right.
but asleep, not doing anything about it?
Well, all right. There's a twist to it. No, no. You see, you're broadening my horizons. Because like I said to you, I only have the caption. Um, I don't have anything else yet. No, you have added value to it. So I want to thank you for that part. So, I'm trying to find if I am finding myself in this, saying whether or not this is how it works. Do I find myself having something and not doing it? Asleep while being awake.
Exactly.
Asleep while
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, Lady Elise. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I am good. I'm giving thanks. I'm alive and mostly well. So the parts that are unwell, that go stretch and see what I can get rid of it. So today I didn't get my intro music, but it's all right. Today we will be talking about estate planning.
Yes.
It's interesting that the topic has come up over the last few weeks, and actually gave a presentation just a few days ago to a live audience, not an online audience, and it was well received. But we followed on with a panel discussion where there were questions from the floor, and I'm just thinking that maybe one day it would be good if you could get some questions from your online listeners on what topics that they may want discussed financially wise, and we can do a question and answer instead of a talk, because sometimes we speak, and though we may believe that the audience may want to hear these topics, there may be others that are more relevant to them at that point in time, and so I'd like to do that. So maybe a question and answer
Okay,
for maybe
that
not
would be
for
good.
next one, but
Mm.
down the line.
All right.
All right. So
Sounds good.
today we're diving into a very important topic, and I believe it's crucial. We are Bible believing Christians, and one of the verses in the Bible says, "It is given unto us 60 and 10 years
Mm-mm.
by reason of death," right?
Wow. Wow.
It means that the moment that we are born, we are destined to die.
Wow.
And I don't want to go and preach today. However, I'll just add one more that time for us is just a part of eternity, right? So, what you find is that we tend to be passing the baton on from one generation to the next. And whether that is through intellectual knowledge, so we go to school and we learn and we pass on that education from one generation to the next, or through our material wealth that we may have accumulated over the years. I will say this too, that no matter how much you have accumulated, you will not be taking that to the grave with you. And therefore, at some point in time, well, at that point in time, when you do go to the grave, that those assets or that wealth that you have accumulated will be passed on to someone else.
Yeah.
Now, the way it is passed on is solely dependent on you, the individual. If you make a decision to have it passed on to your siblings or your children or other beneficiaries, then we call that a will or a trust. However, if you do not pass it on via those means, it will be said that you died intestate. And then what will happen is that the law will kick in and will dictate how it is that your estate is divided. So, with a will, it is called a testamentary will. If you die without a will, you would have been said to die intestate. So, let's break it down. So, there are three parts, really and truly, to estate planning. The first is life insurance. So, there are two main types of life insurance. One is a whole life insurance. The second is term life insurance. As the name suggests, whole life is for your whole life. It continues until you die.
Mm.
Term life insurance, on the other hand, is for a part of your life. Think school term. So whether it is 5 years, 10, 15, 20, or 30 years, it's for a portion of your life. In both instances, however, if you should die during the period that it is active, your policy is active, you will get the benefit or your beneficiary will get the benefit. However, if you allow your policy to lapse, one, or two, the term to expire and you did not renew it, then what will happen is that you will not get the benefit or your beneficiaries will not benefit from having that life insurance. But we're going to assume that you have kept it. And so what you find, the other difference is that with the whole life insurance, there's also a cash value component to it. And this cash value can be used during the life of the insured. The main benefits of life insurance, of course, everybody thinks is to cover the funeral expenses. That, of course, is one of the primary things. But there are others, and the others include things such as paying off your debt and providing income for your family. It can also be used to fund education for your um, children who are still in school age or other financial needs. And it can also be used to fund a trust, right? So when I get to trust, I'll tell you more about that. In addition to all what I've said, life insurance gives you the best tax advantage because life insurance products in the United States and the Caribbean, and I believe in the UK, I'm not sure about the rest of Europe, is a tax free instrument. Therefore, if the benefit or the sum insured is $1 million, then the beneficiary stands to gain the entire $1 million. No taxes taken out of it.
Mm.
So what you find is a very effective tool for transferring wealth. All right, let's move on to wills now. So a will is a legal document that outlines which assets will be passed on to which beneficiary after your death. Some important aspects of a will. One, a will allows you to specify who gets what. Two, it allows you to appoint a guardian for your minor children. And three, it allows you to name an executor who will manage your estate. Now, in some instances, the executor could be a friend, but in many instances where there is more substance that is left in the will, it is usually left with a lawyer or a law firm. I mentioned to be valid, a will must meet certain legal criteria. One, it must be written legibly or typed. It must be signed and it must be witnessed. It is also important that you update your will on a regular basis because things do change over time. But in particular, if you have major events such as the purchase of a large asset, a house, for example, or marriage, divorce, or the birth of a child. I also will remind persons that even while making your will for your beneficiaries, I suggest that you should put down something also for charity. So while you're giving during your life, why not put down a tenth, 10%, 15, 20% towards your favorite charity during death, right? At death. And then finally, trust. Trust is another powerful tool in estate planning. What it does, it moves the asset that you have during your lifetime to a trustee. There are several trust companies that exist that allows you to do that. Those trustees or the trustee, depending if it's one or more, then manage your trust on the benefit, and you can be a beneficiary too of that trust. So you can have a living trust where you transfer your assets while you're alive, and the trust in turn pays you based on the instructions that you are given in the trust. Upon your death, the trust will continue pay the rest of the beneficiaries in the way that you left it. And a good idea about trust is the Disney trust. Walt Disney left substantial amounts of money. And what he did was the profits from his Disney World and other companies that he left behind would go to the trust. And then from the trust, it would then be distributed to his children, grandchildren, etc., in the way that he had decided how to do it or the way that he had set it up. Now, there are two types of trust. I remember I mentioned to you that you can set up a trust while you're alive. One is called revocable and one is called irrevocable. A revocable trust is one where you can make changes to the trust during your lifetime. The irrevocable trust is one where you cannot make any changes during your lifetime. Now, as the name suggests, if you die, then of course you cannot make any more changes, and so a revocable trust automatically become an irrevocable trust upon your death. Now, each of them serve different purposes, right? And since we mentioned revocable, you may end up being able to add new assets as you go along to that trust. Upon death, of course, you no longer are acquiring assets, and therefore, whatever is in the trust at that point in time will continue to work as you had dictated within the trust. Now, the advantages of trust. A trust can help avoid probate, and probate is you taking that will to the court and ensuring that it is actually your last will and testament. Two, it maintains your privacy. So when you put your assets, and this can include your cash, your cars.
So can I ask a question, Richard?
Yes, go ahead, Anna. Go ahead.
Normally when I hear about trust, right, and it's sometimes when you watching TV or watching a movie, it's usually some rich person and they have a trust that they would leave. Are you saying that a regular individual can have a trust, and there are some benefits of doing that?
That is correct.
Mm,
So you may have two or three motor vehicles, for example,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So let us say you have a vintage car.
Yes.
You know that if you leave it to your first son or your first daughter who are not interested in the vintage car, all they are going to do is to sell it same time. However, if you leave it in a trust, the trust may state that leave it to the classic car club who has permission to drive it out on a given day each year to their shows each year. And the X amount of monies that I'm going to leave behind must be used to maintain the car in driving condition. That, for example, is what your trust will do for you. So your children may or heirs may not have any clue what you're leaving behind. They just see this 1960s VW Bug and feel say this is an old car parked up on the back. And when that is gone, I'm going to take it and sell it, right, for whatever it is, or carry it out to the scrapyard and deal with it. But you in your mind know that it's a classic car.
Oh,
So
boy.
who would value that classic car? You can put it in a trust while you're still alive. I mean, you could always have sent it to by will, don't get me wrong. But by putting it in the trust and sending money from maybe you have another business and you said you tell the business that profits from the business must go to the trust. So the trust gets funded, and then the monies in the trust will be used to take care of the classic car. As simple as that sounds, that is something that us as mere individuals, mere mortals, without the necessary assets of multiple businesses and real estate holdings can do, right? But usually, as I say again, it maintains privacy, and that for many persons who have accumulated some amount of wealth, that for them is even more important. So a Bob Marley, for example, and I like talking about Bob, who did not have a will. Bob Marley, had he had a trust, we would not necessarily have known about some of the indiscretions that he had had over his years while he was alive. because the trust would have just paid his heirs without everybody coming out of the woodwork over time claiming anything, right? So that is just another, that's about privacy. It also provides control over how and when your assets are distributed. So whereas, coming back to the classic car, you leave it to your first child who decides that, hey, it's time to be destroyed or given away or whatever, because he has no or she has no idea of the value in it. By you placing it in a trust, the person who gets it will then be able to say, yes, things were set up not from not only for me to hold it, but for it to be maintained. Right? So those are what you want. So let us combine all of them now. I also mentioned to you about life insurance, right? So if you look at life insurance, you can literally say to your add on your beneficiary section for those who have life insurance. They've always your advisor will always ask, who do you want to name as your beneficiary? If your beneficiaries are minor, who do you want to name as your trustee? You can literally name your trust as the beneficiary. So let us say again, that $1 million. You can say, I leave that $1 million. This is not the will now. This is the life insurance policy. $100,000 to my spouse, and of course, the spouse will then use that $100,000 to take care of any final expenses. Will take care of the probate and so on. And the 900,000 can be then placed in the trust to be distributed as the trust would have had it. Good. Now, another advantage of a trust is that it can protect your assets from creditors. So let us say I already have a trust set up and I cannot make changes to my trust. Then if I go and take out a loan, all my assets that are in my name are then liable if I should not foreclose on my loan, right? If I cannot pay my loan. However, any asset that is within the trust would not be able, the creditor would be able to touch it because the trust is considered a separate person, right? And so it cannot be, it will be looked at as if it was a separate individual who owns that property. It will also give you protection because it will serve a intended purpose. So this trust is taken out to do that, and therefore that purpose will be taken care of. And these purposes could be simply things like education for your heirs, your children, grandchildren, etc. Or it could be healthcare. Upon my demise, if I should have dementia, there I would like this and this and this to happen. So the trust kicks in even while you're alive, but you're unable to perform your duties because of ill health. Now, when you combine all of these, your life insurance, your wills, your trust, you are able now to create a comprehensive estate plan. So what life insurance do is provide immediate financial support and liquidity. Upon death, immediately the monies are paid directly to the beneficiary. No estate, nobody else. If your spouse is the beneficiary, it goes directly to your spouse. And that can happen in a matter of days, right? Once you fill out the necessary documentation and hand them in. Your will ensure that your wishes are honored and assets are distributed the way that you desire. And a trust, of course, offers ongoing management and protection of your assets, even while you're alive, which ensures that they are used according to your long term goals. So as you see here now, estate planning might seem like a daunting task, but if you take your time to prepare, and remember most of this comes from the mind initially, it can provide you with peace of mind and protect your loved ones in the future. If you have not yet done your estate planning, I encourage you to send me an email,
Mm-hmm.
right? Broker@richardthewel.com. I can start the process with you. If you're out of town, out of country, then go to your financial advisor. They will help you to start the process. And there are also estate planning attorneys that are available that specialize in this, and they can help to prepare a plan that is tailored to meet your need.
I met a lady one time, Sir Richard, that
Hmm.
I saw her on I think it was a public transportation I was taking. Or I gave her a ride. That's true. I gave her a ride. I was going to East End. And so I gave her a ride, and she was telling me that her husband died, and she
Hmm.
is the wife and the children fighting her for the house and the property the house that she is living in. How would she be able to mitigate against something like that? She being the wife and the last person with the husband. If he had written a will, could that will mitigate against her getting anything, or is it that she's the last remaining living person that then everything goes to? How does that work?
All right. So it sounds like the husband died intestate, meaning that he did not leave a will.
Right,
Now, had he left a will, then that wouldn't be a problem
Mm-hmm.
because the house and other property that he owned would automatically be distributed according to the will. Now, I will speak about Jamaica, and I know a little bit about US in terms of some aspects of it. Cayman, I'm not sure. The marital home is usually passed on to the spouse automatically. I mean, you have to pay the fees, etc. Yes, but it's passed on to the spouse. So the marital home is passed on. So once you're married, that is not divided to anybody else. So it assumes that the surviving spouse will continue living in the home. Any other asset would then be divided according to how the law specifies. And the law for the US, unless it has changed, and it could change, would specifies that the wife or the spouse, wife in this case, gets half the assets and the remainder is shared among the children. Then, if he has neither spouse nor children, then it is shared among his siblings and depending on his age, parents. Good.
right.
And then if he has no siblings that are alive, then it's passed on to their children, his nieces and nephews. And if you realize it goes down, it doesn't go across anymore, so it don't go to cousins. And if you don't have any of those, then it goes to government. So ultimately, that estate will be passed on to somebody.
I wouldn't start the conversation and say COVID, but I'd leave it there. I want to thank you for such an able way of discussing this morning's topic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are scared of thinking, and
It's a very interesting
I
topic,
know
you know.
that it's a fact, right?
But you know, you read my mind. I was thinking about this.
Yes,
I was actually on my mind this week, beginning yesterday, the weekend. It came out that my mind was just where that is.
yes,
You know,
yes,
without knowing this morning, you know, this is the conversation we are having, and just the presentation on it this Monday. There is, you know, let us know that there are many persons who have found themselves in this situation
yes,
and unknowingly in this situation and don't even know.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
how do you get one person to move from? that place of not knowing or even think that they know but don't know,
Yes.
or should do something about something that they should do
Right.
and that they should do it,
Mm.
and getting them to do it, is another situation. So just hearing this morning, I think our listeners would benefit to know that there's an urgency about life, that you don't hold on to this thing. You started off the conversation this morning by saying that we are born with the express view that we will die. And that's what I'm going to leave this morning's conversation with, thanking you very much for that piece of advice that I'm going to take again this morning. Each morning I take gems. I pick the gems up for myself. So I'm not leaving all the listeners to grab them. I grab mine first. So what's left, everybody get a piece of that.
All right, thank you. Well, I'll add one final thought.
Right.
If you have not yet prepared your will,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask that you simply, it's two things that you're gonna do. One, first of all, write down the people who you'd like to give something to.
Well, Mikey G is one of them. Please write me
Right.
down. Thank you.
Good. And two, write down what you have that you can give to them.
Right.
Now, it may
Please,
not be in that order.
10-acre plot of land. Yeah, in that order.
I don't know if you mentioned at what age do we consider writing a will, Richard?
As I would suggest the moment you start earning some money. So if you, all right,
I'm
there
22 and I'm
are
writing a will.
there are people, there are children.
Yes.
For me, children is under 18
Yes.
who already have inherited, and I've met them. Don't get me wrong, they exist. So it's not that they don't exist. That have already inherited.
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
What should happen
Mm-hmm.
is that their surviving parent or the adult guardian that is in charge
Yes.
should make provision for those assets to be passed on in the event of that child's death. But we usually assume that the child will reach 18. So
Assumptions.
if you start life like that with an asset or with assets, then immediately you should write a will. Because the mere fact that you have assets to start off with, it meant that somebody had died to have left those assets to you.
Mm.
Case in point, I met a young lady, early 20s, teacher, and she already had a house that was left by her grandparents, and she was actually living in the house. Her parents are now overseas. So her parents got the house, but the house was actually left for her. She asked what I must do. I said, write a will to leave it for somebody. That's the first thing I suggested to her. Right? So if you do have that situation, you do that. But the moment you start having monies in your bank account, then you can start writing a will because you may not have a spouse just yet or a spouse at an early age. So you can leave that, as I said, to your only beneficiaries that you may know are your parents at that point in time.
All right.
So as soon as you start earning money, that's when you should do it. And as I mentioned, you update it regularly.
Update it regularly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Richard. Remember, our financial advisor comes on each and every Tuesday. And of course, he also always shares a wealth of information with us. Mikey G, did you have laughing gas or something? What's wrong with you?
Let me tell you what happened to me a while ago. As soon as you get the thing, you're ready to pass it on to somebody else. I was listening to
Listen, that's a cycle
easy
of
come,
life.
easy come, easy go. You didn't even get to sit in there. It's like saying you're not even cool yet.
It's not so bad though.
I'm laughing about it. It's not a laughing matter though, but It has been presented by our financial advisor this morning. It makes it humorous for me, even in a morbid and a very dismal kind of concept. But I don't know. Maybe I find humor in everything. I don't know. It just I think it's frightening at the same time and humorous as you can find it at another level. But it's what it is.
And remember, guys, if you have any questions for our financial advisor, send them over. Of course, he had already shared his email address, which he'll share again. Richard, please go ahead and share your email address.
Again.
So the email address is broker, broker, at richardthelwell.com.
All
Okay. All right. So looking forward to have you again next week, Tuesday, right here live on the Breakfast Hour. I want to thank our listeners and viewers, those on Facebook, YouTube, and those listening via our radio app www.flashpointmedia.ky. You're tuned in live to the Breakfast Hour on this terrific Tuesday. You just heard from our financial advisor, and of course, our news comes up next. Thank you so much, Richard.
Also want to add my quote of saying thanks to our financial advisor
You're
this
most
morning.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Want to say thanks to our financial advisor this morning, and of course for the able way in which he has expressed these many concerns that we may have. And if we didn't have them, I think you should start being concerned right now. News time, of course, brought to you by Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
Yeah. Yes. It's time for the news.
Of course, every now and then, we have those little glitch that may actually creates that, but there is, what a powerful piece of information that was shared. I'm laughing a little bit because, it may come across hilarious to me because I'm hearing something else, Um, when people speak to me, I always hear things
You're
that,
always hearing things, right?
but I'm hearing it. And so, here am I listening to the conversation, and man, I just went right up to thinking about the idea that, you know, um, young man just got the wealth in his hand and he's ready to die. News time.
Good morning. These are the news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. I am Coralie Karen. SciFec to remain in temporary facility until 2025. The Cayman Islands Further Education Center, SciFec, will continue operating in temporary facilities at the Family Life Center until next year. The move was necessitated by delayed renovations at the John Gray High School site and the discovery of asbestos at the original Walker's Road location. Parents have expressed frustration with the confusion surrounding the temporary arrangements and concerns about the lack of proper facilities persist. Influencers selling Cayman with free trips. Cayman Islands' stunning attractions are showcased globally through influencers and journalists. Over the past 3.5 years, the government has spent over $600,000 hosting these content creators to promote the islands. From fine dining to spa experiences, influencers' posts have captured the allure of Cayman, although much of this luxury comes courtesy of public funds. Grandfather-grandson duo win Domino Championship. In celebration of International Men's Day, the Boys to Men Dominoes tournament crowned Ryland Bennett Carter and his grandfather, Kerry Carter, as champions. The event highlighted positive male role models and fostered family connections. The duo's skill and sportsmanship were a testament to the spirit of the tournament. Tragic accident in Clarendon claims two students' lives. Two students from Lennon High School have died following a collision on the Bustamante Highway in Clarendon. The Ministry of Education has deployed grief counselors to support the affected community. Several other students were injured, with one in critical condition. This is a developing story. 19-year-old pillion rider killed in Guyana collision. In Guyana, a 19-year-old pillion rider, Ezekiel Smith, was killed in a collision between a car and a motorcycle in Mackenzie, Linden. The motorcycle was engulfed in flames after the crash. The driver, motorcyclist, and Smith were transported to the hospital where Smith was pronounced dead on arrival. Fatal shooting in Grove Place. A 30-year-old man, Jamal Rivero, was shot and killed in the Grove Place area of Cozy Corner in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The police are investigating and seeking information from the public. Those were your news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Stay tuned to the Breakfast Hour for updates on these stories and more.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Take a look into the mirror. See the world you've never seen. Say a prayer for the children. Find the road to lasting peace. Let the sun shine through. The shadow cannot last. Raise your voices up to echo through the
Well.
sky.
I want to say good morning. I'm back. Welcome back to the breakfast hour. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the breakfast hour. I think Hazel carried some breakfast for me this morning. Hazel G.
Hello, hello, hello. Talking about breakfast?
Yes.
Well, while you were talking, I was cutting up some cabbage and carrot and pop chow.
So she
That's
came here. She came here to decide to make us hungry in the morning.
it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And I like the fact that Hazel G is talking about all healthy stuff.
I mean,
She's talking about some real good stuff. That's all right. That's all right, Hazel G.
Pastor Mark said to me last night, yesterday even, Mikey G, you say stop eat beef. and I see you cooking up roast beef. I said to him, I remember when you said that I eat beef again. I said, yes, it's true, but I eating it now. So, but here's
Well,
what I didn't do. Here's what I stopped doing. I stopped using the microwave completely. So
Congratulations, one step at a time.
using the microwave completely. I'm not using the microwave for no reason at all. But I just didn't stop eating my roast beef yet because what I did was I did the man's recipe of taking that big slab of beef, cutting up my season, my thyme and my onion and my my scallion and of course my garlics and everything, and then have my powdered season and everything, and then stuffing that beef and then let it marinate for at least a day, and then afterwards or two, and then I'm gonna stuck it inside my pot because I'm not gonna put it in the oven now. Nobody no with it. I go pot roasting that, put it on my stove top, and I slow turn that, adding a little bit of water every now and then, and watch it cook for 2 hours. You know.
oh, okay. Well, I haven't eaten beef for more than 25
I
years.
know I'm
Oh
not
yeah, 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 yeah.
energy. That I'm not encouraging you to have any beef this week, guys.
No, I won't. You can't.
But anyway, I am promoting healthy living. All right, guys,
Okay.
promoting healthy living. No more microwave. I'm starting there.
All
That.
right.
I want to say a big shout out and good morning to Sarida DVN over there in St. Kitts. I know he sent me a message that I will definitely be taking a look at.
First,
Yes. So a special good morning to you over there. You gotta, give us an idea what's happening with you this morning, and of
yeah,
course, um, you know,
Samina's Samina's been benefiting from a lot of publicity since the last couple of months. That
yes,
actually got some new award for his new album. So we have to just make that on the record that Sarin is now on top charts, right? And so it is good to see when someone who started out with a dream and then actually ended up having to live that dream and excited about doing it.
Like you are doing, right?
Well, all right, fine. So like, oh, we are doing it.
like how we are doing. But you know what, guys?
We're doing it right here.
Our community notice board comes up next, and of course, I don't know if Mikey G has any comments
Oh
on
well,
the news this morning.
I guess
Um,
we go right into our community notice board, and then of course we come back for the news later on. I mean, there's a few things that I see, but um, apart from content creation of trying to publish to do some amount of publicity for the island, of course, not negative publicity, but of course to bring positiveness to it, that you have more income in terms of tourism.
yes,
The government is asking that content creators actually get involved in that. So if I'm going to go there, that's where I'm going to land my conversation. But of course, if you choose to continue a little bit or just go into our public or committee notice board first, and then we can come back for a little bit of highlights from the news.
yes, of course. A lot of things coming up this weekend, and of course, you can always send us a message on 345-321-6969. We will be happy to share. We'll be so happy to share. Um, we will be so happy to share what's happening in your neck of the woods. So let's go first to the King's Seventh Day Adventist Church, and they will be having,
I have a favorite song.
yes.
Do you have a favorite song?
If you do, then join us on December 7th at the King's Seventh Day Adventist Church for our Music Day. The theme, This Is My Song. And trust us, it's going to be an unforgettable experience.
Music has always been such a powerful force, connecting us to God and each other. It lifts our spirits, inspires our faith, and fills us with joy. And on this special day, we'll be celebrating songs that have moved generations of Christians.
Kicking off the Sabbath school at 9 a.m., we'll dive into music that speaks to our hearts and souls. And guess what? Our divine service starts at 10:30 a.m., featuring none other than evangelist Omar Walters as our dynamic guest speaker.
Plus, get ready for performances from our church sanctuary choir, our children's choir, and amazing solo singers who will bring the house down. You do not want to miss this.
Whether you're a lover of hymns, gospel, or just want to be surrounded by the power of song, December 7th is your day. So bring your family, bring your friends, and come experience the music that brings us all together.
That's right, folks. It's going to be a day of worship, inspiration, and of course, great music.
So mark your calendars, spread the word, and join us at the King Seventh Day Adventist Church on December 7th for Music Day.
See you there.
Music Day at the King's and Seventh Day Adventist Church Day. I am thinking of that,
I have a
every,
favorite song.
all roads.
Yes,
That,
all roads will lead, and then it's gonna be an all-day event, or
that
all-day celebration. I don't want to say event, so I'm gonna just also share with you the flyer from the Quartet Fest, which follows as well. The Quartet Fest is also at the King's
is
Seventh
that the
Day.
Eastern is that the Eastern Church that hosts that program?
Well, it's the venue will be at the King's Seventh Day
No, that's
Adventist Church.
the Eastern Church that actually comes up with that and actually
Is it
is it
Eastern or is it Button Town?
which one is it? Is it
Listen.
it's the Eastern, right? I think it's the Eastern Church that actually hosts that, but because of the size of their church, they choose a bigger location that can hold more persons that you can be a part of the experience. Eastern, is not as large as the Kings.
It's the
So
original church in Cayman Islands. First church.
the Eastern Church.
Yes,
Yes.
so the Quartet Fest is gonna be on the 7th. It's actually the 7th of December that I'm seeing here, and the time is gonna be 3:30 p.m. And of course, there will be male quartets, ladies quartets, and mixed quartets. Don't miss this explosion of talent. So, Cayman Islands Quartet Festival 2024 at the King's Seventh Day Adventist Church. I want to welcome Hazel G back. It feels like I have not
Well,
seen
but
Hazel.
you understand that is actually doing what you call the traveling the world experience, right? And so what we have to do is try to catch up with her every now and then when she's doing the travels. So can, we can then know exactly where she is. Maybe she can give us a bit of some highlights from where she is. And then, of course, bless our listeners and our audience with, of course, some of the tips and advice that they could have where to travel. So I'm believing.
Well, for last month or so, I've been in Connecticut. It's very
Wow. There, you see, there you go. All right.
yeah. I've been to Bahamas.
There it is.
Yes.
Land or sea.
Mm?
Flying on the sea. Boat or plane.
Plane,
Plane
man.
or boats. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am presently in the Cayman Islands now,
You're
and
back in the Cayman Islands.
yeah,
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, Hazel
We
G.
got our
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome home. Welcome home.
At some point, expect to see Aza G while in mid-air flight, having the breakfast or having this conversation.
exactly. As long as I can be connected, I'll be
So
right
that's
there.
that's what I'm saying. Just
But
hook up your
I'm
Wi-Fi.
shelter right now, and we're flying. But I'm
Yes,
right.
of
That's
course,
how.
of course. So you had a great trip. You had a great time doing some of those travels, and of course you get a chance to spend time with family and friends
Family.
and
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
good to have you back. Good to have you back in the house.
Well,
We just had the news, and of course we got news from right here in Cayman and across the world. And of course, Mikey G had mentioned the social media. use where content creators are certainly highlighting Cayman Islands as a destination. And of course, that is a method. Certainly, social media is the place to be. And of course, there are so many platforms available. And we see journalists, we see Flashpoint Media out there running with the giants, and of course,
Yeah.
sharing our information from our standpoint.
Well, what we know
Yes.
this that we are now the giants in Cayman. We're social media
Ah!
influencers.
Okay. All right.
We are now no, we
I
are now certain of no, we are not even fooling ourselves anymore. We are certain of this. We are not even trying. We are the giants in Cayman where social media is concerned. We are not
all
taking
right.
any second place for that.
All right.
We
That's
don't have
right.
not we are not self we are not
Guess what?
self proclaiming it.
I believe you. You don't have any grasshopper mentality. Uh, I agree with you 100%.
I tell you, we are sure. We are certain of it. We by our work, we see, we know. When you look at if you check anywhere, look at the landscape of what you're looking at. We are at top of the chart. Every single place.
Okay.
Flashpoint Media. .ky.
And what else has made an impact on you with the news? I learned of that.
I, have two- I have two things. The first point about the aspects so in the building, which
Asbestos.
yes, you didn't hear that.
That
In the
is long gone already, long time. Where's that now?
it,
I'm gone.
it's not gone anywhere. The parents are concerned about the location and what have you. But I think some people have been complaining that they should have actually they got the report long ago, but they didn't. They did.
Asbestos is a 20-year, 25 years ago conversation,
Oh, meaning that we shouldn't be having asbestos now.
No, because in Jamaica, I remember when I was at a location, I was working at a particular institution of learning back in Jamaica, in Kingston, right?
Mhm.
And so what the project was to remove all asbestos from the environment where the learning institution, that because of the gathering of all the children from all over, that this would have been a contaminant or contaminated area for the young lives, including the persons who are actually working in those locations, right? And so this was something that was a project that should have been taken on years ago. I would mind, with my best knowledge, I am not certain if that project has actually gone through, because what you have just done is to let me go back and check at those locations to see if this is actually happening, or did they just say it and forget about it when after they are finished talking about it.
You know something, and that is why you see a lot of people with cancer of the lungs. They haven't smoked. They don't even have
Yeah.
exposure. But you can't know what the reason. The building with the aspects. So we like you said, it's 25 years ago thing. It shouldn't be happening right now in this modern time. But it's happening. That's the reality. And hopefully we don't have some of those students coming back 5 years from now with cancer of the lungs and them can't trace where it's from.
It's so sad though. It's so sad to think that sometimes where you spend most of your day, like you spend so much of your day at work and at school, and
Mm-hmm.
it could turn out to be harmful to your health after all. And of
Exactly.
course, on a sad note, that accident in Clarendon where
Yeah,
students,
that's the other one that I was thinking about. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like that. Two-person died and one person critically ill. Yeah, life has just robbed, just taken away from them in the nick of a moment.
yeah.
Life is so unpredictable.
So
Yeah.
unpredictable. So we, of course, extend condolences to family members. I mean, there are no words. This time of the year, I mean, to be experiencing grief and planning a funeral and thinking about death and
Especially
sadness.
sudden death,
Yeah,
sudden death. If
yeah,
it's that the person was sick, and you
Mm-hmm.
ask that they're gonna die. You but you send your child to school and expect them to come home, and the
Yes.
next phone call you get, come.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the, yes, I empathize with those family too. Condolence from Hazel G, Maggie G.
Well,
Baker.
I would say to you, without any reservations this morning, it's a sad place to find that is the festive season. But we have to be extremely careful on the roads now more than any other time because what you're looking at is good sense is not prevailing right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to understand that there's a sense of lunatism. These are my new words, you see, that are coming up. Please write them down. Next time
Luna-
you ask me, next time we go on the Toastmasters speak, and I'm going to bring the words for the day. Later is lunatism. So
Lunatic- Lunatism is the word of the day. All right.
lunatism, and it's a Mikey G word. Just make it clear that it's a Mikey
I
G
don't
word.
think your words qualified for words on Toastmasters.
So all I have to do is to write down the
But
definition.
he
Yeah,
can tell you
if you can have
what
all this,
is, what part of speech it is, and use it in a sentence for us so we can get an
here it
understanding.
is. What
Yeah.
we have on the roads today is lunatism. There's the sentence. So if it can be used, then you see it's authenticated. You see, and I know, right? Would I know? Yeah, but we have to look at the idea that people are living fast and loose right now, and
Yes.
they're on the road and they're youngsters, and of course, what you call the thing is, I remember a situation some years ago with a then young man who was in government. I think his name was start with P, something.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, something. I'm not sure. But
Something, right?
anyways, I'm well.
That's the way not to call a name.
Well,
Whatever, Mikey G.
what I was saying is, well, the thing is,
Yes.
the young man at the time, had racked up some money missing somewhere, and they couldn't find the money. And of course, the then prime minister, and of course, marked it off as, millions of dollars gone, can't find it nowhere, and say the young man, being a minister of government, instead of misappropriating the funds, well, these are not the words to be used, but of course, marked up to youthful exuberance. Youthful exuberance is a very interesting word. I did not know this word until that time. This was many years ago, and I was a youngster, because a very much younger man at the time. These things stick with my mind. And so every time I see youngsters, I say when they're in crime or violence or killing other people or robbing people and doing evil things, I'll say, they're just youthful exuberant. Because that's what it is. It can't be anything else. It can't just be a criminal mind. So, we have to look at the fact that we have young children, youngsters, young boys, young girls, and they have a motor car. Their bicycles, their motorcycles, and now they have these things that they're riding around, these little scooters that are so dangerous for their very health and others that are going to hit them down. They don't know. And so you have to be more careful than those persons who are driving on the road because they will hit you. You don't have to worry about hitting them. So
You
that's where I'm going to go.
Runs, you call it.
Youthful
Ex-
exuberance. So
exhum-
look out for this holiday season for youth,
Youthful exuberance.
and it's a disease that actually affect old persons too, older persons as well.
Oh,
Don't know that
I,
they're not youthful anymore and it's supposed to be so exuberant. So
got it.
behaving as if they're supposed to do that and it's not so. So, but there is a place for us. So I don't know.
There is a place for us. Well, as we are preparing to head out of studio, Hazel G and Mikey G, I want to thank the listeners, for joining us this morning on this episode of the Breakfast Hour. It is interesting that Dr. K comes up tomorrow, and
Yeah,
we should have been having a question and answer. It's Ask Your Doctor.
day
That's what we
before
should be doing tomorrow.
should be doing that one, right?
Okay, so people should send in questions.
Yes.
They
So
should
she's
send
not
their
coming.
questions.
She's coming prepared to answer any question, or
Yeah.
she need to get questions them before she comes so she can
Well,
prepare.
what would be nice is this: is that you send the questions in, and of course, when you send the questions in, you get a chance to look at the questions so you can adequately service those questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
But
inviting people to send in their questions now on
yeah,
air.
we're inviting persons to send questions in. So if you have a question, you can ask. It doesn't matter which topic you want to talk about. What questions you want? If it's diabetes, arthritis, if it is just simply what you call headaches, why you get headaches, if I don't know, whatever it is, for me, I know what can solve headaches, all the time. So I would recommend send those questions in. I don't have to be the doctor to know that headaches can be solved easily, especially where there's married couples. Where there's married couple and headaches are happening, then you have to check the marriage and then check the couple.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, Dr. Mikey G.
Yeah, I
It's
just acquired,
like doctor and you have already
I just acquired my PhD by listening to the doctors.
oh okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah. I hear. All right.
But
Wellness Wednesday. Okay.
Wellness Wednesday, Dr. K will be answering questions. Please remember to have your questions to be asked, and of course, we will share them with Dr. K, and hopefully, we can have a wonderful morning. I normally would remind you, of course, of the things that are celebrated today, and I will go ahead and remind you that today is the 3rd of December, and today is National Day of Giving. It's Giving Tuesday, and it's a Tuesday after Thanksgiving. National Roof Over Your Head Day. Yes, National Roof Over Your
how
Head
many
Day.
children living at home, Izzy?
Hmm?
How many children living at home?
How many children?
Are
Three?
you providing roof over their heads this morning?
Three? One, two, three.
Very good. All right, there it is. So you are celebrated today.
Thank you.
All right. I don't think at least is providing any roof, I don't know.
I've a roof up above me. Of course, I
Children
am
are
thankful
sometimes, children
for
are
the
sometimes
roof.
so unthankful and grateful when they get a chance. It is unfounded, but it is such a thing. You know what? I found out that I was a child at one point and suffered the same. Yeah,
Grateful.
right.
While you bear, of course.
I can't go pointing at those children that are just born and forget that I once was a child. Ungrateful as they come, I got those sickness and disease as well.
What you have learned. As we get out of
I've
studio,
gotten therapy. I've gotten medicated. I've gotten all of those straight jackets and all, and to bring me out of some of that. And still, I still
oh,
that
mercy.
some shadow.
As we get out of studio this morning, I will leave you with the Optimist Creed. Promise yourself to forget the mistakes of the past and press on to greater achievements of the future.
And of course, the Toastmasters creed would be, from Laser G, of course, would say, how would Toastmasters say about today, this morning, Laser G?
What would we say? We talk about it and we talk about communication.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Communication is the key
Talk about integrity.
and integrity.
Yes.
Any last words you want to say to your, anything you want to say to your listeners before we leave this morning?
Oh, well, I want to say it's Christmas and a time for giving and loving, and just to be careful where you are, how you go on the road, because we don't want any fatality.
I was thinking about somebody, we were talking about we need a property in the size of maybe a 2 or 3 acre. Um, um, so now is a good time to give to Flashpoint a piece of land that is about 3 acres so we can build an enormous studio
Oh,
on it. That's all.
That's a good idea. Put it out there, the atmosphere, Mikey G.
I want a 3 acre piece of land that we can build a studio that we can do many different things and ideas on that plot of land and create that wholesome experience that the Cayman Islands and the world would experience. And of course, there's so much that we want to do with that piece of land. So that 3 acres piece of land, giving it that Christmas to Flashpoint, is not to me, it's to the entire team of Flashpoint that we will do and use
I
it.
heard for the
Yeah.
person who are listening.
So yes, so we're putting it out there this morning. So if you come across this, yes, that's one way to give to Flashpoint, and it's a time for giving. Flashpoint is wanting to give back to the community, but through your giving as well. There's how it goes.
Have yourself a Flashpoint day.
Of course, join us on radio at www.flashpointmedia.ky. Continue to enjoy the experience right here. Have a beautiful day, guys.
Have a beautiful day. Yeah.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sun